Nobody knew why Emily never spoke in class until one day, something happened that changed everything. Hello, friends. Welcome back to my channel, ES English Academy. Today, I will tell you a beautiful and emotional story in slow and simple English. This story is called The Girl Who Never Spoke in Class. So relax, improve your English listening, and enjoy the story. Emily was a quiet girl. She was 17 years old and studied in high school. Every day, she came to class early, sat near the window, and opened her notebook. But there was one thing strange about Emily. She never spoke, not to teachers, not to students, not even during group activities. Many students thought she was shy. Some students thought she was rude. But nobody really knew the truth. Every morning, the teacher said, "Good morning, class." All students answered loudly, "Good morning." But Emily only smiled softly. Then she looked outside the window. One day, a new student came to the school. His name was Daniel. Daniel was friendly, funny, and confident. He liked talking to everyone. On his first day, the teacher said, "Daniel, please sit beside Emily." Daniel smiled and sat next to her. "Hi," he said happily. "My name is Daniel." Emily looked at him for a second. Then she nodded quietly. Daniel waited for her to speak, but she said nothing. During lunch break, Daniel saw Emily sitting alone under a tree. She was reading a book. Daniel walked toward her. "Can I sit here?" he asked. Emily nodded again. Daniel sat beside her. After a few seconds, he said, "You really don't talk much, huh?" Emily looked down at her book. Daniel smiled kindly. "That's okay," he said. "You don't have to talk if you don't want to." For the first time, Emily looked a little comfortable. Days passed. Daniel continued talking to Emily every day. He told her funny stories. He talked about movies, school, music, and his old friends. Sometimes Emily smiled. Sometimes she laughed silently. But she still never spoke. One afternoon, the English teacher gave the class a project. Students had to work in pairs and give a presentation in front of the class. The teacher said, "Daniel and Emily will work together." Daniel looked excited, but Emily looked nervous. Very nervous. After class, Daniel said, "Don't worry. We can do it together." Emily quickly wrote something in her notebook. She showed it to him. "I cannot speak in front of people." Daniel read the sentence carefully. Then he asked softly, "Why?" Emily stayed silent for a moment. Then she slowly wrote another sentence. "Because I'm afraid." Daniel looked surprised. "Afraid of what?" he asked gently. Emily looked away. She did not answer. The next day, Daniel brought 2 cups of hot chocolate to school. He gave one to Emily. Emily smiled. Then Daniel said, "You know, everyone is afraid of something." Emily looked at him. Daniel continued, "When I was younger, I was afraid to talk to people too." Emily looked surprised. "You," she wrote quickly. Daniel laughed. "Yes, me." Then he explained, "When I was 10 years old, I moved to a new city. I had no friends. I felt lonely and scared." Emily listened carefully. But one day, Daniel said. A boy talked to me kindly, and slowly my fear disappeared. He smiled warmly. So maybe you just need someone kind too. Emily looked down quietly, but inside her heart, something changed. A few days later, Daniel and Emily started working on their school presentation. They met in the library after school. Daniel noticed something interesting. Emily was very smart. She had amazing ideas. She wrote beautifully, and she understood every lesson quickly. You're really talented, Daniel said. Emily smiled shyly. Then she wrote, Thank you. Daniel suddenly had an idea. What if, he said carefully, you say only one sentence during the presentation? Emily's eyes became wide. She shook her head immediately. No, she wrote quickly. Daniel did not push her. That's okay, he said kindly. Just think about it. That night, Emily sat in her room thinking deeply. She remembered something painful from the past. 2 years ago, she gave a speech in another school. She was nervous. While speaking, she made a mistake. Some students laughed loudly at her. After that day, Emily stopped speaking in class. She became quiet, very quiet. Even when teachers asked questions, she stayed silent. She was afraid people would laugh again. The presentation day finally arrived. Emily's hands were shaking. Her heart was beating fast. Daniel noticed her fear. It's okay, he whispered. I'm here. The teacher called their names. Daniel and Emily, please come to the front. The whole class looked at them. Daniel started the presentation confidently. He explained the topic clearly. Then suddenly he stopped talking. He looked at Emily kindly. Now it was her turn. The classroom became silent. Emily looked at the students. She felt scared, very scared. Her hands trembled. For a moment, she wanted to run away. But then, she remembered Daniel's kindness. She remembered his words. Maybe you just need someone kind too. Emily took a deep breath. Then slowly, she spoke. Good morning, everyone. Her voice was soft and nervous. But she continued. My name is Emily. The classroom stayed completely quiet. Nobody laughed. Nobody whispered. Everyone listened carefully. Emily became a little stronger. Then she finished her sentence. And suddenly, the whole class started clapping. Loudly, happily. Emily looked shocked. Daniel smiled proudly. You did it, he whispered. For the first time in many years. Emily felt brave. After that day, Emily slowly changed. She started answering simple questions in class. She talked a little more every week. Students became friendlier to her. And Daniel remained her best friend. One afternoon, why did you never give up on me? Daniel smiled softly. Then he said, because quiet people often have the most beautiful stories inside them. Emily smiled, a real smile, and this time, she was not afraid anymore. So, friends, what did we learn from this story? Sometimes people are quiet because they are hurt inside. A little kindness can change someone's life. And fear becomes smaller when someone believes in us. Never laugh at someone's mistakes. and never stop believing in yourself. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it and learned new English words. If you like slow and simple English stories, please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to ES English Academy. And tell me in the comments, have you ever felt afraid to speak in front of people? See you in the next video. Bye, friends.